I feel very privileged to have been offered the Associate Artist position at Dance Hub, to have an organisation that can offer you such support over a number of years, both financially as well as resources, is just incredible as an independent artist. It is so difficult to secure funding and to secure spaces that can give you that time to create without any expectation of results, that the freedom to just create for the sake of creating is impeccably precious. So I'm currently working on a number of projects. Primarily the main focus is a collaboration for a work, Barbaros, and that is a collaboration with Tom Buchanan, visual artist, Sean Williams as a sound designer, soundscape contributor, and myself as choreographer. We've recently invited Renata Henschke as to help Tom Buchanan really help realise the set. We have beautiful, incredible mature age dancers, Zoe Dunwoody and Anton, as performers within the work, and we've just undertaken the second stage development, and it's a really incredibly intense work that looks at the antagonism between civilization and barbarism. Why do I choreograph is probably the million-dollar question, to be honest with you. I don't think artists have a choice as to why they choreograph. To be honest with you, I don't think any artist has a choice. It's such a compulsive obsession. It's such an emotional divulge in a way that artists that are authentic in art being a part of their lifestyle, you have no choice. It pulls you. And as the many times that I've tried to walk away from being a choreographer, which I will admit I have tried to do, life doesn't seem the same without it. And I think that there's a creative impulse that will never, ever, ever leave you. And it's hard. It's like a magnet. So the Dance Rebooted residency that I was wonderfully able to have and bring to life in December, particularly in the Dance Hub studios, was kind of a bit of an exploration, actually. Tom Buchanan, which is the visual artist that I've been collaborating with on this project, we really actually wanted to utilize the time to almost have a blank space, really. Like, we really sort of went in with a couple of ideas about visual art and a couple of ideas about movement and a couple of ideas about transparency, and all of a sudden we had this kind of transparent artwork and this three-dimensional beautiful sort of layering that unexpectedly resulted in this incredible video work that we don't even really know what it is yet, but the opportunity to just jump in and have a play with that actually exposed something that we're still trying to find, and we're eventually actually going to present, but we're not quite sure what medium it would be in. But we were pretty excited about what we discovered in those 2 weeks. The opportunity to walk into something without pre-existing set-up scenarios for a collaboration, it doesn't happen very often, and both of us really bought our own stuff. Tom bought in a bunch of things and went, I've got this, and I bought in a bunch of things and said, I've got this. And all of a sudden the time really was about how do all of these things just connect, and how do they collide really and clash, and the result was completely unexpected and was a blessing in disguise, really. Who knows? It's an interesting process collaborating with your partner, that's for sure. But Tom's a really incredible visual artist, as anybody in South Australia will know. Like, his work has such three-dimension and such layering of context and imagery and landscape and versus, current climate and urban lifestyle. So, he has a very, very distinct visual imagery that he uses, and it's been a great opportunity to sort of clash that with contemporary dance, which he's starting to sort of understand in a different perspective as well. So, everything we have done thus far has been new and experimental for us, and who knows what the future will offer with that sort of stuff. The reoccurring themes that might happen within my work. Very interesting question. I think that, I guess, being a female choreographer and a strong female choreographer in a time where things are changing and evolving, there's unconsciously seems to be a really strong motif of strong female women, I think, in my work. The Spinners had such a powerful resemblance of these transcendental goddesses, and the power of these three amazing goddesses, and that female strength that they brought to the stage and brought to the myth that we had explored in that time was incredible. If I think about the new work that I'm exploring at the moment has really, again, incredible support and voice for women that are going through some kind of transformation of some sort, and really being held up to be powerful strengths, I think, is really quite important and prolific in the work that I've been making. The second work that I'm working on at the moment, that I'm hoping to head into second stage of development of, is a work, currently working title for that piece is called Believe. However, it eventually won't be called that. I just haven't yet found what the exact title for that work is. Believe, working title, is a collaboration with a Melbourne-based magician, Elio Simonetti, and the main narrative drive of that work is, I don't want to say an adaptation, but it's inspired by the 17th century horror tale of Bluebeard. And Bluebeard is very much a story about patriarchy and female voice, and the institution of marriage being a huge facet that has, in one sort of way, controlled women in society in a time. When I enter into the studio and I attempt to begin a process, that first day is always awful. It is such a vulnerable day, even the first couple of days, where I don't know what's happening, what's going to happen. The performers never know what's going to happen. And I guess my process in that moment is always about trying to lay the foundation of the themes and the ideas around the work, what I'm trying to achieve, creating a visual image for the performers that are in it so they know what they're trying to strive for. And then just getting up and starting. And that's always the very first difficult thing, is like, what do you get up and start with? And I always resort back to just some really wild, creative, theatrical games and getting a sense of how the performers respond theatrically. So the collaborators, and how important I think collaborators are for working in the context of dance. Out of all the mediums, I think dance is one of the most difficult, in terms of it's very hard to make a dance work without the collaborators, because, for example, visual arts relies so solely on the artists. They can act as a sole entity to get something to its finished context, whereas for dance you need so many other bodies and space and minds to help realize dance. You can be a solo performer and do it all on your own, which is one thing, but for myself, who is very much interested on being on the outside and not necessarily being on the inside, the team that I pull together to realize my works is everything. I'm only one facet of my work, really. I can have an overall vision, but my work is only what it is because I pull together these incredible visual minds and visual abled bodies in that kind of that are able to really articulate the vocabulary, the intensity, and the physicalization that I envision. So when I was performing in the work The Spinners, and I took on the role as choreographer and as well as performer, it was a huge task, a epic task. And I actually said to myself at that time, I only did it because I could trust the director so much that I knew that there was an outside eye watching it, and I was able to sort of let go of something so I could really choreograph and contribute to the choreography physically by being in it. But I did walk away from that loving the result, however, recognizing that I don't want to be in my works. You will get the best out of me when I'm on the outside, because my eye for what I'm making is constant. It sees everything. I see everything. And I don't just choreograph a piece, I choreograph the stage. I choreograph every component that is within it. And you can't do that when you're in it. It's a different sensitivity and it's a different creativity. And as valuable as it is for some and has been for me in the past, I much prefer being on the outside. And as a mature age performer, there is definitely so much that we bring to the stage. But for myself, in my own words, I'm happy and very easily can engage others to do that. The advice I would have for young and also emerging choreographers that are interested in dance, in whatever capacity that is, whether it's commercial, whether it's contemporary dance, whether it's social dance, is to believe in your passion and to see as much as you can and to experience as much as you can. And if you want to be a creator, create as much as you can and never stop creating and never stop learning from the successes and the fails that you will have along the way, because there will be both. And the fails always end up being what create the successes, and to just keep striving for that. What advice would I give to my 10-year-old self? Just to trust. That's it.